9 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Ty Red here in the Herndon Chevrolet studios. Jack Feltry joining us today on the Left Chevrolet phone lines as he is yet again on his way to another edition of South Carolina spring practice. 2.5 weeks from the spring game to wrap up the spring session. Again, Jack, as we kind of talk about every single time, fingers crossed that, we hopefully see something significant today, right?
I think we're going to be seeing a lot more today just because practice is actually, surprisingly, we found this out yesterday at football press conferences. We'll be there a little bit longer today. I think it equates to like 40 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So we're out there longer today. Hopefully we'll see a bit more. And, yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it as this is practice number 7 for South Carolina now. So I think we're technically at like the halfway point of the spring if you go by practices. So looking forward to it today.
Yeah, again, we've kind of talked in and around about a lot of different things when it comes to spring practice so far, but it's still kind of in that speculation kind of portion because, again, we haven't seen anything concrete. And we're going off what coaches and players say, and we'll get some of the player stuff here coming up in just a minute. But having a concrete something that we can see with our eyes or that you guys can see out there when you watch practice and report on would go a long way, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Like, I just think today we probably will see something, just given that we'll be out there a little bit longer. We saw stuff last time. It's not like we don't see anything. Like I think that's the common misconception is that we do see more beyond them stretching for, like, we obviously see them stretching, but like, last time we saw them doing individual drills and stuff. The running backs working with the linebackers and DBs and stuff. Like, they're doing stuff. Like, that's for sure. Today, since we'll be out there longer, naturally we'll see more. What that looks like, what that entails, not sure yet, but I am thinking it's probably going to be something exciting, hopefully.
We'll get into some more what the players had to say yesterday to talking to you guys in the media here in just a second. But it is 9 o'clock. That means it's time for our Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up.
Time to get hyped. Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm. Sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803-ALL-9s. Real quick, wanted to touch on this before we do get into what some of the players had to say yesterday. South Carolina basketball, Jack, did pick up another commitment yesterday out of the transfer portal. This coming in South Carolina, shooting guard Kobe Knox. Again, it seems like South Carolina is really bringing in, guys play that wing spot, which is great. And this guy put up solid numbers in his year last year at South Florida. He's a brother to Carter Knox, who plays for Calipari there at Arkansas. But I think I'm kind of with a lot of other people and like, that's great. Let's see what they do at point guard.
Yeah, no, they definitely do need to do something there at point guard because, look, technically Michi Johnson could play point guard. But you would rather have someone to complement him and complement these other guards that you're bringing in. I keep saying like a Talon Cooper-esque type of guard that can distribute, can be the general on the court to kind of guide the offense, right? Because, Michi's a scoring guard. Tracy Eaglestaff is obviously a scorer. I still feel that same way about Kobe Knox here. Like, these are all great shooters that you're bringing in. That's for sure. You're bringing in a lot of talent that will make a lot of shots for the Gamecocks this season, not to mention Eli Ellis also coming in. I still feel like you need that point guard, that assist leader on the offense, and we'll see when they get it, if they do. I think you could be all right with Michi at the point, but honestly, I still feel like you need someone else out there to kind of like a yin and yang sort of thing. That's why Talon and Michi worked so well together 2 years ago, because they complemented each other perfectly, and that's what you need to find out here in the portal.
Well, and Michi is so streaky, and you don't want the guy running your offense to be somebody that's capable of so many, highs as well as so many lows. So you want consistency. And again, I think that's kind of the one thing that we're all, patiently waiting to see if they're able to land that guy in the transfer portal or not.
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. I think another position they probably need to figure out here soon. I know they added Isindoko, but I also think that's not enough because you also have Jordan Butler and Oku Federico presumably back as well. I still feel like you need another guy in the front court, especially if CMB is not back. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. That changes a lot if he does come back. But it wouldn't hurt to go out there, maybe look for another forward. But, yeah, I think point guard is definitely a more pressing area because we saw what happened this year since South Carolina didn't necessarily have a true point guard.
Well,
I think you could call Jacoby Wright that or Jamari Thomas, but it was not on the same level as it was 2 years ago.
Well, and talking about one of those forwards, and again, we keep referencing guys from last year's team, or 2 years ago's team now, but a BJ Mack, a guy that could be physical and a guy that could really, establish himself down there in the post, grabbing, rebound, scoring, and all those kind of things. You just didn't quite have that this past year. And again, when you look at Jordan Butler, he's got the size for it, but he just didn't quite have that physicality that you needed. And again, we'll see what Isindoko can do, but I'm with you. Adding at least one more of those guys would probably make you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I don't know if you necessarily like I don't know if you need like a BJ Mack type out there. Like BJ was good in his own way, but you had Colin this year really flourish. He didn't have to play the 5, played the 4. And, you can have just 2 guys in the front court, kind of like you had this year, and let your shooters shoot because there's going to be so many shots that need to go around to these guards that you brought in to where it's like, I mean, do you really even need, like, if Colin comes back, do you even really need him to shoot threes next year? Isindoko, I know, has a history of shooting threes when he was at St. Joseph's, and actually wasn't too bad. But do you really need those guys to shoot or Jordan Butler? I mean, occasionally, sure, but I think the guards are going to probably be doing most of the heavy lifting. Just my opinion, though, early on here, as the roster still gets constructed.
So again, a lot of things happening with Gamecock men's basketball as they are active in the transfer portal as of right now, with plenty more spots to fill. Again, Jack on his way out to the practice facility for yet another edition of media availability. Coming up today, expected at 9:43, right on the dot as always. Yesterday, we got to hear from a good handful of players. We'll start off real quick here with Lenora Sellers, who, by the way, is a man of few words, but a lot of conversation around him is revolving around this development of him being a better overall quarterback, taking more time to throw, maybe not taking off and running quite as much. And here is Lenora Sellers talking about his development when it comes to establishing patience in the pocket.
I mean, it really just comes down to, trusting the people around me, trusting in protection, just being patient, more patient in protection, not just looking to run, trusting the receivers, they'll get open, throwing anticipation and stuff like that, and timing, footwork, all that.
First of all, he sounds terrible. Are we chalking that up to allergies, or is just yelling at everybody at practice?
I am going to go with allergies. I'm going to go with allergies. Because when he walked in yesterday, I'm like, what? What's wrong with him? It doesn't sound normal. But yeah, maybe that's also getting fired up on special teams, doing kick return, or maybe it's when you got jump scared by the mannequin going on.
You know what? That's a good point. He almost spun out of the pocket instinctively on that.
That was how the first question to him yesterday was referenced, and that he spun out of the pocket. Lenoris is always calm, cool, collected. Nothing seems to get to him. But man, that video, man. I mean, that video was so funny in general. But him yesterday, that was definitely not like Lenoris getting a little bit freaked out there.
Huge shout out to Justin King and everybody over there. A phenomenal job as always. I laughed hysterically at that entire video. The reactions were priceless.
Oh, that was so funny yesterday. That was literally probably the one guy at the end when he falls backwards too that was gold right there.
Yeah, well done there. And I know Justin King said he'd Pavloved everybody by having that thing sit there for about 3 months, so people get used to it. So again, well done, bravo. That content is phenomenal that they're pumping out.
Yeah, but anyway, so Lenoris, real quick. Yesterday, you're right. He is kind of a man of few words, but the main conversation yesterday was kind of just about him and his progression and stuff, and he feels like he can make the throws, right? And there was a good question brought up to him at the end, I think by Jordan Kay, and he had asked him, how do you work on knowing when you want to run versus when you have to run? And he gave a pretty good answer on it. And honestly, just with him, he's going to be running a lot this year, right? Like we know that, but there are going to be times where you got to be able to trust your receivers and trust the guys around you to block and your center and all that stuff, to where it's like, okay, you don't need to run all the time. Like, run when you want to, essentially.
Yeah.
When the pocket collapses and you have nothing open. But, like, trusting your receivers is such a big thing because you'll have so many guys that are hopefully getting open this year. So that's the main thing he kind of mentioned about that yesterday. And I'm looking forward to seeing how that progression with the chemistry in that room with the receivers kind of develops.
Well, and I think it's also important to know, because I know everybody kind of references what happened in the bowl game. And look, Illinois, one of their main MOs on defense, they had a spy on Lenore Sellers the entire game, was forcing him to beat them with his arm. They were going to take away the run as best as they possibly could. And especially early on in the season, as we don't know a lot of the specifics of the other things happening around him on offense, the key for everybody defensively is going to be, okay, do not let this guy beat us with his feet. So he's going to be put in situations, I feel like, where he's going to have to be smarter with his throws. He's going to have to be better when it comes to going through his progressions, looking for things downfield, and maybe even when he does flush the pocket, instead of taking off and running, keep those eyes downfield so he can make those throws more often. Because, again, he's the star of this team. He is going to be point number one on the defensive game plan for literally everybody, so those opportunities to run may not be there as frequently.
Yeah, no, you're right on the money, man. Like, something is going to have to look different this year, because you can bet teams are going to be ready for what he did to Clemson and all the Missouri, all these teams, Texas A&M, where he's just running up and down the field and he's making plays with his legs. He'll make them this year, but like you said, I think they're going to have a spy on him in these games, and that's something that I think they're going to adjust to. South Carolina is. Mike Shula's definitely going to have some different looks in his play calling, I think, for Lenore's to kind of make sure that he gets the most out of him. But, yeah, it's also on Lenore's to, he'll still get his yards running on the ground. But I just wonder how it's going to look when teams already know he's going to run a lot. How much of an emphasis is it to really stop him on the ground? Because, I mean, look, he's still got a very good arm. For as much as I can talk about, he definitely can throw the ball deep. So there's definitely a lot to like about what he can do this year, and I am looking forward to seeing him throw more.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's going to be one kind of the bigger storylines of the offseason, is how that development goes and what he's going to look like in year number one with Mike Shula calling the plays this upcoming fall. We'll get into a little bit of what Jordan Howell had to say yesterday, as well as, oh man, my Braves, you're going to have to help me out with this, because they are not in a good place, as opposed to your Yankees, who are, again, lighting the world on fire as they usually are. That's coming up next. It is the Extra Point, Tyler Head and Jack Beltry, along with you here on your Thursday on The Game. Tyler Head once again for our friends over at Twin Peaks. Next week is a very busy week, especially over at Twin Peaks. April 7th, that is Monday, is National Beer Day. Twin Peaks, they know beer really, really well. And you can celebrate National Beer Day all day long with one of their signature taps, local crafts, ales, lagers, and seasonals as well. They'll have them ready at a teeth-chattering 29 degrees in a nice 22-ounce mug. That night, by the way, is the men's basketball national championship game. Park yourself at Twin Peaks, take in all the amazing action, and see who comes away with the ultimate prize in men's basketball when the night is said and done. And after that, The next day, April 8th, is Customer Appreciation Day, where you can kick off your week with BOGO boneless wings when you purchase a Twin Peaks Signature 22-ounce draft beer, soda, or tea. What a week. Coming up next week with our friends over at Twin Peaks, right down the street in the Vista.
Definitely. Some of the main takeaways I had probably would be really my big play ability, my ability to make a big play from wherever on the field. It doesn't matter if it's on the goal line, from the other end of the field. I can use my speed, power, and then make a play for anywhere. That's what I really realized. And then other than that, just, being all four down back, sharpening my skills in that aspect.
Well, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Felcher along with you on your Thursday here in the game. That was voice of Jawarn Howell, running back for South Carolina, entering his second year with the program after transferring over from SC State a year ago, talking about kind of what he learned in year number one, and obviously is expected to be a guy playing a bigger role this upcoming year. And Jack, again, it sounds like a broken record. We talk about so many of these rooms being vastly different and having a lot of questions about them. Running back's interesting. You got Oscar Adaway, who got some touches last year. Rasul Faison coming in from Utah State, who was a feature back there that we kind of expect to occupy that 1A or 1B role. And Jordan Howell's kind of the wild card here because, again, he showed promise in the few carries they got a year ago, did fumble in the bowl game, if I remember correctly. But he's somebody that people talk about having a very high upside. And we certainly hope that this year, assuming he gets more carries, he can kind of show more of that flash and potential as well.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it, man. We saw brief glimpses of him out there last year doing some things, and you're right, in the bowl game, he got a few carries. And yeah, I think he did fumble in that game, if I'm not mistaken. That was one of the early turning points in the game. I can't remember for sure. But anyway, yeah, with Jawan, look, I think he's due to get some more reps this year, hopefully. It's going to be tough behind guys like Oscar and Rasul Faison. Like, that's basically the equivalent last year because, you know, Oscar and Rocket Sanders were the two main guys in that room. But you're going to need, as Shane Beamer said multiple times, you're not going to need just one running back. You're not going to need just two. You're going to need 3, 4. So looking forward to seeing a guy like Jawan really get some more reps this year, hopefully, because when he was out there last year, he was hard to bring down and tackle. And the same deal goes for Matthew Fuller. So I like what they have in that running back room. It's crazy how much progress I think the running backs have made in terms of the room since 2 years ago when South Carolina was dead last in the SEC in rushing.
Yeah, and of course, going along with that, you also have to ask the question of, okay, how good is the offensive line going to be? Because I don't care how good of a running back you are, if you don't have guys up front that can block for you and you're getting hit as soon as you get handed off the ball, you can only be so successful. Those two things kind of go hand in hand. And again, I wish we had something concrete to tell us what it's going to be at this point in time. But unfortunately, again, that's kind of the nature of having such a wide open roster this year with so much turnovers. We're not really going to know until toe meets leather coming up this fall.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, that's going to be a room that is going to definitely be competing. And, you know, realistically, you probably think that it's probably going to be either Oscar or Rasul, kind of, assuming he gets cleared with eligibility for the season and stuff. I know he's practicing with the team, but that's still something that they're figuring out, according to Shane Beamer. But I am looking forward to seeing what those two guys can do and then how guys like Jawan and Matthew kind of fit into the puzzle afterwards, because I still feel like they're going to get their share of carries. That just feels like a given for this year.
Again, you guys will be out there watching practice a little bit later on this morning, and we'll certainly be following along on the Insiders Forum. Wes and Chris will pop in here at 11, and we'll get their analysis on what exactly they saw later on this morning. But, Jack, we got to talk about what's happening with the Braves, man, because so many people were hopeful last night. They had a 5-0 lead after 2 innings, and then, well, before we all went to bed, this happened.
High fly ball to center field. Harris is back. Oh, Tony! Inevitable!
Tough pill as the Braves fall 6-5 to drop to 0-7 on the year as the Dodgers advance to 0-8 and look like the machine that we know they certainly are. Here's the bad thing, Jack. And I was telling Preston this in the last hour. I knew they were going to lose this game. I just didn't know how. And I hate that I'm that pessimistic this early on in the season, but it just feels like when it rains, it pours, man. Whatever can go wrong for this team seems to happen.
Yeah, man, I feel awful for you Braves fans right now. Like Wes, you,
Jay Phillips.
It's rough, man. Yeah, Jay. Oh,
Jay takes it worse than all of us, by the way.
Yeah, that seems to be about right. But yeah, and of course it has to be Mr. Ohtani hitting the walk-off home run. Like, I saw him with the score, and I'm like, all right, the Braves are cruising here, but the Dodgers are the Dodgers. Like, you know, 5-0 lead is not safe, and still so much baseball left to play. And yeah, man, that's a tough way to lose. 0-7, a winless road trip now. That's very rough. And I saw the stat that no 0-7 team has ever made the playoffs. I refuse to believe the Braves are going to be that way this year. I think they are going to make the playoffs. You know, the voice of reason here. I do think this team is very good. They still need to get Ronald Acuna and Spencer Strider back. But, look, going on the West Coast to open the year, is no easy task. It's always tough, and when you're playing two of the top payrolls in baseball, I know the Braves spend a lot of money, but the Dodgers spend more than anyone, and then you got the Padres with a loaded roster too. That's a tough way to open the year. You get the Marlins now to open up the homestand. If they lose a series to the Marlins, I really would get concerned, but I think they're going to be able to at least get one, probably 2 wins this weekend.
Well, and that's the thing. Again, there's no shame in losing to the Dodgers and the Padres. Again, two of the best teams in the NL and certainly in baseball as well. But it's like, man, you figured you could at least find a way to win one of these games at some point. And again, when you have a team as talented as the Braves are, because again, they're not lacking for talent. Yes, two of their best players in Ohtani and Acuna and Strider are still working their way back, and they should be back here in a couple weeks. But being able to hold down the fort in the meantime, should be able to find a way to win at least 1 or 2 games over the course of the first 7. But it hasn't happened. Again, it's a long season, still 155 games to go. But the Marlins series this weekend of vital importance, because you cannot afford to drop to, and let's just go on the worst case scenario here, 0-10 or 1-9 or something along those lines. You got to find a way, much like Gamecock baseball, you got to find a way to win the series this weekend, or that drastically alters the way you look at the rest of the year.
Yep, just a very brutal road trip for the Braves, and I do think they're going to be fine. Again, this team has way too much talent not to, and I know they're in a competitive division and stuff in the NL East where you can really say 4 of the top 5 teams in there are very, very good, including the Nationals. It's a tough division, but I do think the Braves are going to be fine and get back on track here. Just gotta be able to protect leads, man.
On the other side of things, quickly, we hit your Yankees last night. 4-3 loss to the Diamondbacks up there at Yankee Stadium. Only one home run, Volpe in the bottom of the 9th. What the heck, man? I thought these torpedo bats were supposed to be cranking them left and right.
Yeah. Contrary to popular belief, the torpedo bats do not make home runs just happen magically. You actually have to swing the bat and be able to hit a baseball. So that just shows it, man. And tough pitching is hard to beat. Zach Allen, very good last night. The Yankees couldn't hit anything he was throwing, and the one home run, of course. So it is what it is. Drop the series, move on, and hopefully salvage it today.
Well, I'm comforted in the fact that the Braves can't lose a game tonight because they are off for the travel back to Atlanta. So at least for tonight, no Braves fans will have to suffer.
Yes, thank you for that, because that's going to be good for the Braves, and get back on track tomorrow and hopefully start winning some games.
We're about to let you bounce. Again, got to get out there to practice. 9:43 on the dot to see what's going on today. What, if anything, are you looking forward to hopefully seeing today?
Looking forward to just seeing hopefully some semblance of, they call it the depth chart drill. Just hoping to see a little bit more of that. Just a lot of what we saw last week, kind of at the end, where guys are going at it and stuff. I want to see a lot of competition out there, a lot of action, hopefully.
Again, I'll be following along on the Insiders Forum. We'll get Wes and Chris's detail when they come in at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. And Jack, we'll talk to you tomorrow, get your observations on that, and look ahead to another important baseball series as you'll be on the road to Starkville when we talk this time tomorrow.
Yep, looking forward to it, man. I'll see you then.
Absolutely. Again, Jack Feltry heading out to spring practice. Observation, I believe, day number 4. And again, we'll get Wes and Chris's insight on that when they come in at the top of the 11 o'clock hour. Speaking of being on the road, our guy Elijah Campbell is taking the 1075 moped down the coastline as we speak on the way to Tampa, getting set for the women's Final Four coming up this weekend. We'll get his thoughts on the other side as Don Staley's crew looks for a back-to-back national championship. That's coming up next. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head along with you here on your Thursday on The Game. And welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head along with you here on your Thursday on the game. Yes, indeed. It gets rolling this weekend. The women's Final Four. You'll be able to listen to coverage of tomorrow night's game right here on the game. Our guy Brad Muller pregame starting at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock tip for game number 4 against the Texas Longhorns, this time down in Tampa and on the road to Tampa right now in the 107.5 The Game patent pending moped. Our guy Elijah Campbell, give us the lay of the scenery. Are we down the Georgia coast? Have we made it to Florida yet, or are you just trying to get out of your own neighborhood?
We're in the Sunshine State right now, only about a couple hours from my destination, which is Amalie Arena, and looking forward to it. Part 4, man. Not many times do you get to see the same two teams play each other 4 times in the same season, let alone 2 with Hall of Fame head coaches and teams that were number 1 overall seeds, and also 2 teams that were tied at the regular season in their conference, and the conference having to be decided by a coin flip. But this is what we're going to see Friday night is pretty special and pretty unique to just the game of college basketball on its own.
Well, pretty unique as well for the fact that South Carolina, all 3 of the teams left standing besides them are teams that have beaten them this season. Again, I don't know if that's ever happened before in the history of men's or women's Final Fours.
I don't think so either. I mean, it's a true proof that, winning championships is hard, man, and this is really the most poetic way to end the season is having to beat a team that beat you and that you are incredibly familiar with, and then if you were to get past them for a championship game, having to beat one of the 2 teams that beat you like a drum during the regular season. Like, that's the perfect way to go out, right? If you want to prove that you're still the national champ and that you're defending your crown, you got to do it against the teams that were good enough to actually beat you during the regular season. I can't think of a better way to have this Final Four kind of laid out. It's very unfortunate what happened to Juju Watkins in Southern Cal being kind of taken out because of that. But it's brought us this, which is really the best way for this team to wrap up its story this year.
And we'll dive more into the specifics of the Texas matchup. Again, we'll be talking to you tomorrow at 9:30 as well. I kind of want to look at big picture things a little bit heading into the Final Four for today. And I think it's very significant that you are on the road to Tampa. That's where the Final Four is going to be, because we are at the 10-year mark of the first trip to the Final Four, which, funny enough, was also in Tampa as well. And it's just crazy to think, because if you go back 10 years ago, obviously everybody was buzzing, excited for South Carolina to get to that point for the first time in program history. I don't think anybody could have envisioned what the next decade would unfold with multiple Final Four trips, multiple national championships, an undefeated season in the process, so many phenomenal talents that come through South Carolina. That was really the start. I know she'd been here for a while, but that was really the start of the dynasty run that South Carolina's been on in the past 10 years.
It was, and that's what makes the rise of this program so special, right? Is because it happened in the midst of other dynasties too. It was the tail end of the Tennessee. It was when UConn went on their own, tear throughout women's college basketball, where they owned the sport for a while. And now you've reached the point where you're at 11 straight Sweet 16s. You're now at your 5th straight Final Four, which is now the 2nd longest streak in the history of women's college basketball. You still need 9 more consecutively to get to what UConn did in the late 2000s and during the teens.
But for reference, Pat Summitt never went to 5 straight Final Fours.
Yeah, exactly. Pat Summitt never did. And those are those dominant Southern Cal teams in the late 80s never did, right? Those Texas teams never did something like this. Like, what's being built right now at South Carolina is truly special, because it's a secondary come up to like a real challenger to what UConn has been able to do ever since Gino Auriemma has been the coach of the Connecticut Husky. And that's kind of what the gold standard is, and this program is doing an incredible job of kind of recreating that. And it's just wild to see, see them back in Tampa at a Final Four when that really signifies what the first one was like, where you finally broke through. Like, the Final Four in college basketball, you reach national relevance, right? Like, there are some great programs on the women's and men's side that have incredible storied histories that have never been to a Final Four, or maybe have only been to 1 or 2, because that is the biggest stage of your sport. So when you make it there the first time, it validates everything that you've done as a program, and it really legitimizes who you are. Then when you start winning championships, you put yourself into that upper tier of not just being legitimized and validated, but there's a crown on your head, right? Like you have reached the pinnacle, and all you can do is really build dynasties from there. And this South Carolina program is at that spot, especially when you have an iconic coach who helped get you to that spot. And it also helps that iconic coach was also an iconic player and has really become the face of all women's basketball at every level right now. And it's to see that build up is so neat. And I think, the everyday South Carolina fans need to just really be thankful for, Dawn Staley taking this job and building it into what it is, because you just don't have this anywhere else.
Again, talking to Elijah Campbell on his way down to Tampa to come to the Woodward's Final Four for us this upcoming weekend. And you made reference to the fact that this is the 5th straight Final Four for Dawn Staley's crew. And really, this is probably maybe the most vulnerable this team has felt since that first trip on these consecutive Final Fours back in 2021, because they have suffered losses this year to all 3 of the teams that are still left standing. Not saying they can't go and win it all, but it definitely seems like more of maybe an uphill battle than the past couple have been.
It has, yeah. I mean, when I was on the early game earlier this morning, Tyler, I was kind of talking about some of the offensive numbers, where this offense has kind of fallen off a little bit, and a lot of that comes from the bench unit, maybe not producing as much as they did during the regular season. But think about it like this. According to Bart Torvik, since the first round of the NCAA tournament, so excluding the first round game at Tennessee Tech, there are 99 teams that have played college basketball, whether it be the NCAA tournament or the NIT, CBI, all of these other tournaments that happen postseason. And out of those 99 teams, South Carolina is 41st in offensive efficiency. You could describe that as just pedestrian. And this offense hadn't been pedestrian all year long. If you look at the full season numbers, they're top 5 in the nation in offensive efficiency, but only 41st since that first round win against Tennessee Tech. So teams have figured out kind of how to minimize what this team wants to do. And you've seen maybe the shot selection, the shot profile change a little bit, where you look at the last 9 games, or the 9 lowest 3-point attempt totals in a game that this team has had this season. 4 of those have come since the beginning of the postseason, or the end of your regular season. So the offenses look different, and not for the better, right? Like, that's something this team really needs to figure out, because Texas is an elite defensive unit. If you beat Texas and you get to play UCLA is a top 5 defensive unit. UConn is the number 1 defensive unit in the country for Bart Torvik in terms of just like the defensive efficiency numbers. So it's one of those things right now where you got some things to figure out. They are certainly vulnerable. Vulnerable is the best way of putting it. I don't think they're the worst of the 4 teams here in this that's remaining in the tournament in this field, but they've certainly shown a vulnerability over the past couple of games that teams like Texas haven't done to that degree. I know Texas only scored 58 in their win against TCU, but they still end up winning that by double figures. And UConn and UCLA are playing their absolute best basketball right now. So when you look at maybe what could be a concern for the South Carolina team, it's the momentum of the ability of scoring right now. It's the one thing you can point to that says that can get them beat.
Last couple of minutes here with Elijah Campbell on his way down to Tampa to cover the women's Final Four. Media availability coming up a little bit later on today. You'll hear from Dawn, you'll hear from Vic Schaefer, and obviously all the players involved as well. What specifically are you looking forward to, or what questions are you going to be asking today when you get a chance to talk to everyone?
Yeah, a lot of it's going to kind of focus in on me for playing a team for the 4th time. I know this is one of those things where, and nobody on this team, as experienced as they are, I mean, you're not going to find another unit in this tournament that's had, a senior class that's won 2 national championships, right? That doesn't exist in this field. You're not going to see another unit, senior class in this field that has been to 4 consecutive Final Fours. So you're not going to see that. This is the winningest, group in women's college basketball. But the one thing they probably haven't done in their careers is, play a team 4 times. Like, it's very rare that you see something like that. So what's the difference going to be? What is something that they may expect from the other team in terms of what wrinkle can be thrown in, right? How much kind of changes? Like, Bree Hall and Madison Booker have developed a really fun rivalry between those 2 players individually, with Madison Booker and Austin saying that she can't guard her, and I think that's a little presumptuous on Booker's part, considering she's only shot 28% from the field in 3 games against South Carolina. In the losses, she was held to 21%.
Right.
So if there's anybody that can guard her, it's certainly Bree Hall.
Right.
And Bree takes a lot of pride on the defensive side of the ball. So that's certainly something that I want to get a little deeper into with the players and coaches here today.
Last 30 seconds before we let you go. Of course, got to thank all the great sponsors allowing you to be down there this weekend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Adkins Law, Lexington Discount Homes, and Columbia Craft and Peak Drift. My friends that allowed me to hang out in Birmingham are allowing me to follow this team back down to Tampa in pursuit of Don Staley and the Gamecocks' 4th national championship. And we'll see where it goes from here. But this is an incredibly loaded field. I'm pumped to be able to be in this arena for it.
Well, safe travels, stay out of trouble, and we'll check with you tomorrow.
Easier said than done with the trouble part, but we'll check in tomorrow.
All right, Elijah Campbell on his way down to Tampa. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 1 of the Extra Point here on your Thursday on the Game. Welcome back in. It is the Extra Points Hour. Head along with you for a few more minutes here, wrapping up hour number 1. Coming up next in the Gamecock Club Hour, presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Wes Mitchell sat down with both Oscar Attaway and Fred, J.R. Johnson, whatever we're going to call him. You'll hear those conversations coming up in the next hour. And, of course, Wes and Chris will jump here at the top of the 11 to give us their observations of spring practice so far. Gamecock baseball on the road tomorrow night. Huge series. Taking on Mississippi State. You'll be able to hear that on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG. Pregame coverage starting at 6:45 for a 7 o'clock first pitch. And, of course, the women's Final Four game going to be right here on the game. And we'll let you know as the weekend goes along where you can find baseball depending on what happens with women's basketball. Coach Maneri yesterday, in talking to the media, of course, we've said it a million times how important this series is and needing to go out there and get wins and get a series victory. And, he talked about how difficult it is just playing on the road and how tough that is, not only in general, but especially in the SEC.
No, not at all. No, I was glad we were back home. Remember, we played 5 games in a row away from here.
That is true, yeah.
Before we played Tennessee. And then we had 4 games at home. Yeah, if I had my druthers, we'd play every game of the season right here. So, no, I'm not excited necessarily about going on the road. It's hard to win on the road in this league. Yeah. And, just because Tennessee came here and swept us in our park or Oklahoma won 2 out of 3, that doesn't make it easy to win on the road. Those are, we should have won the series with Oklahoma if we would have just held on to the lead. And then, Tennessee, is defending national champion, and they're a very solid team again this year. So, they came from behind to win a game that we had a chance to win late, and they did what they had to do. But winning on the road is hard in this league, so no, I'm not excited necessarily about getting away from here. I love playing here.
Of course, going on the road into any SEC venue is going to be tough, and Mississippi State is no different. Now, you are going to have a fan base that's probably a little lethargic compared to what you maybe would have had going on the road to a place like LSU or something like that, or Georgia, programs that are playing at the top of their game as of right now. But I was kind of trying to think about what's the significance of this weekend in terms of what it means for the season going forward. And, of course, winning is the utmost importance, and that's something that you need to do, obviously. But if you do manage to win this weekend, the series, either 2 games or sweep the entire thing, I think it, for one, gives you optimism that you're going to be able to maybe find a way to get yourself into the postseason. But it may confirm what I think we already know about this team, that they're good but not great, that they can beat teams that they're on par or better than, but just can't quite get over the hump against ranked teams. Again, they're 1-12 against ranked teams so far. The one win they have is that win against Oklahoma in the Saturday game in that series here over at Founders Park to open up the SEC slate. But if you lose this series, if you fall 2 games or you get swept in all 3, then I think it tells us that this South Carolina team doesn't have the horses to compete in the SEC in general, right? Because, again, if there's a series you can win, this would be it. Mississippi State is also 1-8 in conference play. They're scuffling just like you are. They're also looking at this series as vitally important for the rest of the season and hanging on to hope that you're going to be able to put something together in the second half of conference play to make a run at the postseason. And if they don't win this series, they're looking at this and saying, well, we just don't have what we need to compete in the SEC this year. Same thing for South Carolina. And it's dramatic to say the season would be over after if you lose this series this weekend, but you'd find a tough way to dig yourself out of a hole if, let's say, at best, if you lose the series and win 1 game, right? Suddenly you are 2-10 in conference play with, doing the math in my head here, 6 more series to go? Yeah, 5-6 more series to go with more ranked teams coming. Yeah, I don't know if you're digging yourself out of that hole. And again, you don't even have to be at 500 to make postseason in the SEC, but still, even getting to a 12-13 win mark by sitting at 2-10, I don't know if that's going to happen. Again, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but this team hasn't given us enough in SEC play to shed a whole lot of optimism on it as of right now. And again, going off this weekend doesn't fix everything if you win the thing, but it makes you feel a little bit better that, hey, there's still hope that we can put something together and make a run at the postseason in the back half of conference play. So vitally important. Again, fingers crossed they can go out there and get the job done against Mississippi State and head on the road next weekend to College Station and keep the train rolling to, just start putting some things together to give you reason to believe. Because, again, we haven't had a lot of that here as of late, unfortunately. That'll do it for today's edition of The Extra Point. Again, coming up next in the Gamecock Club Hour, presented by Krantz Schooling and Heating, Wes Mitchell sitting down with Oscar Attaway, as well as J.R. Johnson from South Carolina football. It's coming up next here on your Thursday on The Game.
Everyone knows that AAA Heating and Air has the best HVAC replacement options in the Midlands with their guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. They're hard to beat when you need a new system. But did you know they also have great deals for repairs? That's right. If your system is broken and you're strapped for cash, AAA Heating and Air can help. They'll get your repairs done with payment options for up to 12 months and also no credit check required. That's right. So if you are the homeowner, all you need is a valid bank account. That's it. That's all you need. So don't wait. Call AAA Heating and Air today and get your comfort back on track. AAA Heating and Air, comfort you can trust.
All right, y'all, what is up? Welcome in. This is the Gamecock Club Hour, as always, brought to you by our friends at Krantz Cooling and Heating. We've got another special guest from the South Carolina football program. It is running back Oscar Attaway. Oscar, I know you're getting into year 2 over there with the football program. You are kind of rolling through spring ball right now, so we appreciate you taking the time, man. I know it's busy. How you been doing?
I've been doing good, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, looking forward to hearing about spring ball, kind of what you've been doing on and off the field. So let's just start right there, though, man. I know y'all are 4 or 5 practices in as we're recording this. How do you think spring ball has gone so far, just in terms of your own personal play, but just kind of the energy and effort you're seeing from the entire team?
Energy is at an all-time high right now, especially coming off of last season. So, like, the team, we're just ready to get back out there, ready to compete again. Me individually, I'm just like excited that I get a chance to do it all over again. You know, even though this is my last time, my last go around playing college football. So I'm just trying to do everything the right way, handle my business on and off the field, and just like kind of elevate my game a little bit more.
You easily could have just been one and done at South Carolina. Went to the professional ranks after last season. What was it about kind of the program and just the factors that went into kind of what was your decision-making process to say, look, I want to be a Gamecock another year and come back for that final year of eligibility, man?
It was a lot that went into it, but mainly it was just like me just not doing that to football. Like, football took care of me my entire life, and I was just like, I feel like I should just come back one more year because I didn't really get to do what I wanted to do last year. And I know I'm capable of doing what I want to do. So I was just like, I would be a fool to just have another year of college ball, to not get another degree, and to just leave it behind. I talked to a bunch of my mentors, coaches from my past school, coaches from high school, and they were all saying, hey, man, I think the best thing for you to do is to come back and play one more extra year. And so I just asked Coach Beamer, I was like, is it fine? He was like, of course, man. We want you back, bro. Let's do it. And I was like, let's go. So I'm back.
So I know now that you're, when you first got here, I'm sure every guy rolls in January, new program, new people, new coaches. You're kind of trying to find your way. You've got an entire season, an entire year under your belt at this point, and there's a lot of leadership from last year's team that has moved on because they're out of eligibility or have gone on to the pros, man. How do you, as kind of an older veteran guy, try to take on more of a leadership role this year now that you kind of are in year 2 and you're a vet in that room?
I mean, you just said it, man. Like, more of I just lead by more, not just by example, but also experience. You know, I've been doing this for a while, and I got a lot of things to say to anybody who's going through anything. You know, like, if you're going through injuries, I've been there before. If you're going at the bottoms of the bottoms, I've been through there before. I've been at the tops of the tops. So, like, when people ask me questions, I love it when they ask me questions and stuff. I love it when they call me Unc. I'm like, hey, bro, I'm here for y'all. Like, if y'all need anything, y'all let me know on and off the field. So just leading by example is just a better experience for me, for those guys. Like, I'm glad that I'm back and I can do that for them.
Yeah, so in addition to being more of a leader on this South Carolina football team, you were picked to be a part of the SEC Leadership Council as well. What goes into that, and what did that mean for you to be picked to just be a part of something that obviously they are picking great representatives to take on those roles? What did that kind of mean to you?
So the staff at the Doty chose me to be the representative for the University of South Carolina with the Leadership Council. And I think 2 months ago, Commissioner Sankey called a meeting with the Leadership Council in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, where the SEC thing is. And so every team has a representative. And shout out to those guys. They all chose me to be the chairman, and it was a huge honor. You know, I didn't go up there and give them no speech. They just kind of just seen me and was like, hey, I think this is the guy to represent the entire council. And like, I'm blessed. When they gave me the call and told me that I was chosen, I was extremely excited. I was dumb excited. Like, thank y'all so much for this opportunity. I cherish it, and I'm glad that I was chosen.
So for those who don't know, and I'll put myself in this category too, what exactly is the kind of purpose of that council? Is it just so that the schools, all of their student athletes have somebody to take any concerns, questions, comments they have, and then relay them back to the SEC office? Is that kind of what it is, or is it something a little bit different?
That's exactly what it is. And then on top of that, Commissioner Sankey is very hands-on when it comes down to like speaking to his players, and like he's just not over, the University of Alabama. He's not just over the University of Georgia. He's over the entire SEC. So when it comes down to that, like everybody has a council. Like from the football team, football teams have a council. Volleyball team has a council. Equestrian has a council. Shout out to the equestrian team for winning the championship. So like everybody has a council, and Commissioner Sankey just wants to hear from his fellow student athletes and ask them like, what's going on? What do we need to do to make the SEC better for you guys, not just for us, but for everyone?
Yeah, very, very cool stuff, and awesome you get to be a part of that, man. Something else you've been a part of lately off the field, doing some stuff with 1801 Media, I know, and just being I saw your Soda City interviews you were doing out with that
was my first time out there. That was crazy.
Yeah, how has I guess just for one, tell everybody what that's been like, and how's it been to be on the other side of a mic and not be the one who's having to answer the questions, but just kind of be on the other side of the media equation?
Man, it's so fun. Like, 1801 Media reached out to me and asked, it was like, hey, we see you in interviews and we feel like the best way to put you out there is to put you in front of the camera. Like, I do very well in front of it. Like, I was shy the first time. Actually, it was my first time ever being to Soda City. Like, I've been here for a whole year and walking past South Carolinians every day, and no one in the city of Columbia told me about this Soda City thing. And I'm just like, yo, like, y'all keeping tabs on, like, y'all keeping this away from me? Like, this is crazy. So I went out there, asked a couple questions to certain people, see if people knew anything about, everybody can say they're a Gamecock fan, but do you truly know the Gamecock answers and everything? So, and then huge shout out to Miss Hopkins, K-Hop. She was out there with me. I enjoyed her, like, basically just being a Gamecock, honestly, just being a Gamecock and going to talk to Gamecock fans. It's fun, man. It's great. I love it, man. Shout out 1801 Media for that too.
And a Gamecock super fan, if there ever was one, in K-Hop, like that.
No, seriously.
You were in good hands there, man. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like,
there were certain questions where she would ask, and they weren't even on the questions that we asked. It wasn't even on there. She would just ask them like off the top of her head. I'm just like, I don't know any of that. She's a South Carolinian through and through. Like, she's asking me about the South Carolina state dance. I'm like, I didn't even know y'all had a state dance. But thanks for enlightening me. Thank you.
What is the state dance?
It's like a yank or shank or something like that. I don't know. She was like,
is it the shag?
The shag. Yeah. I'm like, bro. She was like, you don't know how to shag? I'm like, what is a shag? She was like, yeah, you do this. And I'm like, okay, all right. Like, I guess y'all got to state dance. I got to learn how to do.
For sure, man. So how has that part of the experience been just in general? I mean, obviously the football side is a big part of it, but just kind of being able to ingrain yourself a little bit more in the community and just the program overall, to where maybe it's a place you won't just look back like, I played 1 year of ball there. Right. Now you're going to have played 2 years of ball there. You will have kind of ingrained yourself into the South Carolina football history, almost like the culture of the place.
Mm-hmm. And man, it's so fun, man. Like, it's like words can't explain how much fun I have. Because when I first got down here, I'm not gonna lie to you, Wes. Like, I was just sitting in my apartment every day, just playing ball. You know what I'm saying? Mindset was like, I'm only here for 6 months, but stayed another year, and like, I'm glad that the Gamecock fans just kind of accepted me and was like, we would love to have you back, everything like that. But it's been so much fun, man, just out there talking to the Gamecock fans and how important it is to see how much important I am to them, So it's fun, man. It's great.
Any hobbies we need to know about, man? Like, if you're not playing ball, if you're not working out, is there anything that kind of takes up your time otherwise?
I've been working on my golf game, man, because like I want to be on the golf course a couple times here and there, but I'm a bowler through and through. Hey, if you catch me at a Bolero one of these days, just sit back and watch. Just sit back and watch. I got my own bowling ball. I got my own bowling shoes. I'll be out there. I'll be doing my thing, man. So I'm probably gonna get into like this streaming thing with games. I've been playing like different fans and stuff on Twitter. Like they talk and I'm like, all right, y'all trying to play NCAA? Let's do it. So I might get into some streaming this summer, like to go against different fans if they want to play and everything. But nah, that's about it though. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, well, I'm gonna put you on the spot then, man. If I do an NCAA Gamecock tournament online, are you in? Will you play?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm there.
Okay,
I'm there.
I want to do like March Madness, but for CFB 25, invite all Gamecocks. We can have like it could be 64, it could be 120, however many people want in, and then we're just gonna do it random, match everybody up.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm there.
Winner, we'll have to get a prize for the winner, something good, something big.
There. And then Wes, I'm there, brother. I'm there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. Just tweet it out and just know that 2-7 is there, bro. I'm ready to do it. Or like we pick our own teams, or like everybody got to get the Gamecocks.
No, I'm thinking. So I think pick your own team, but we have to turn on the little even teams, so everybody. It'll match it up in terms of the teams, but you get to pick whatever team you want. So
I feel like everybody should pick the Gamecocks, but hey, it is what it is. Ever since I got the game, I only play with the Gamecocks, but hey, it is what it is. Like I play with a different team. You know what I'm saying? Nick Harbor out there, Lenore Sellers out there. They just updated the game and everything. 2-7 gonna get a tud. You know that. So it is what it is. Let's do it. You let me know.
Are you the best at the game on the real team?
It's debatable. It's debatable. We got a couple guys that are like dogs on the game. I'm not gonna lie. Like Bari is pretty good. He didn't get after me once. And I'm just like, that is what it is. It's debatable. Like ball, like I get like I'm deep into this stuff, Wes. So like it was like game on the line, 37-37, ball on the 6-yard line, and I'm like, all right, it is what it is. What's up? We playing the game. Don't kick the field goal and let's see if you win the game, Bari. And like Bari just like first down, nothing. Second down, nothing. Third down, nothing. I'm lit. Let's go, boy. Where you at? Fourth down, he kicks the field goal, win the game. I'm like, that's weak, bro. That's weak. Like we're playing a game right here. Like this ain't real life, bro. Like I play to win. I'm like, all right, bro, whatever, fam. So I ain't played him ever since then, but he's pretty good. Torselli was great last year. Torselli won the tournament last year. I had to leave the tournament early to go home back to Arkansas, so I couldn't finish the tournament. But everybody said if I would have stayed in the tournament, I would have ended up in beating Torselli. But it is what it is, Invite some of them guys too, man. We can see what it is. I'm down.
Yeah, hey, I'm gonna need your help in encouraging some of the guys to sign up. We'll have to do it, whatever is kind of after spring ball for y'all. When things y'all have about a month, I think, where things lighten up just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna set this thing up, and it'll be open for whoever on the team wants to get on there, and we'll decide once and for all who is the best player in all of Gamecock Nation. Football players and fans alike. We'll decide it. So
hey, even invite some of the basketball players, bro. Jordan is a dog. Jordan is good. Jordan is good.
This has potential, Oscar.
Yeah, it does. Let's do it, bro. I'm down, man. I got my gaming set up right behind you right now. Like I'm getting the college football championship tonight, probably. But hey, it is what it is. You let me know. And what's up?
We'll lock it in. All right, hey, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Game. He's Oscar Attaway. I'm Wes. We'll be right back.
If you're out there looking for a local, reliable HVAC service for your home or your business in the Midlands, reach out to our friends over at Krantz Cooling and Heating. KrantzCooling.com, Krantz, cooling with a K, KrantzCooling.com, or give Justin Krantz, the general manager over there, and his team a call, 803-755-0793. I've had Krantz Cooling out to my home several times. They did a mini split for me in the garage. They've checked out all the other units at my house to make sure they're running in tip-top shape. Love my experience so much that when my mom moved to Irmo, I got them to go out to her home, too. They put in 2 mini splits for her. They handle all her HVAC needs as well. They could do the same for you. KrantzCooling.com or 803-755-0793. Since 1983, Krantz Cooling, their team has been providing great service to business owners and families in the Midlands. They can do the same for you.
All right, y'all, welcome back in. Closing things out here with Oscar Attaway, South Carolina running back. This is the Gamecock Club Hour. It's brought to you by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Shout out to them for supporting this show so we can get awesome student athletes on, like Oscar here. He's been talking on the field, off the field. Man, let's go back on the field real quick. We talked about spring ball a little bit earlier, but what have you personally been focused on? Is there anything other than just development, get better, all the broad stuff? Is there anything about your game you've been focused on the most so far this spring? Have you kind of identified something?
Yeah, man. I've been focusing really on like those bigger
longer, explosive plays, man, like making 3 to 2 people miss and scoring those touchdowns, man. Like getting those ugly runs, like, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say they're easy, but like that's a fair part of my game. But I'm just trying to get those more pretty and exclusive runs that's like finishing at the top of the runs and scoring touchdowns for the Gamecocks. You know what I mean? So stuff like that.
For sure, man. I've asked a lot of the guys, especially the ones who transferred in last year, at what point in a practice did you watch 16 Lenoris and were you kind of like, all right, man, like this guy is different. Like he's special. Was there a moment last year where you were already just like, before everybody else found out in the games that you're like, he made a play in practice or something?
It wasn't
pretty
even
quick,
practice, bro. It was in a workout. It was because when I first got here, I was at the same rack he was, and like, so I was like, first set, I put like 315 on there. You know what I'm saying? It was like I forgot what was the reps and anything, but I put 315 on there. He was like, all right, 360. I'm like, whoa, what? Like first set? All right, cool. Put 360, and he like, pow, pow. I'm like moving. I'm like, woo, hold on. And I was there with him and Josh Simon too. So I'm just like, I was like the back end of that group right there. So I was like, wow, this is crazy. Like this SEC ball though. So I'm just like, that's crazy. And then like when it came like to testing day, he just put like, I think he had like 550 on there and went for like 6 or something. I'm just like, bro, like it's crazy, dog. Like this is some crazy stuff. But yeah, it wasn't even on the field, dog. Like I just seen it in the weight room first, and then like first scrimmage, like you know, quarterback is off limits, right? But like boom, down to the hut, setback, nothing there, step into the pocket, boom, break out, and like he was running, blah blah blah, and then Coach Beamer was like, "Come on, bro, you know that's not a tackle," and I was just like, "Wait, what? It ain't like." And then like game one, we go out there and see it. I'm like, bro, that ain't a tackle, bro. Like that's not a tackle. But yeah, it's everything, man. Everything around 16, bro. Like we got to protect dude at all costs.
Yeah, he is special for sure. You mentioned briefly there, weight room. What has it been like being in a Luke Day workout program? Every guy that comes in is just like, man, it's a little bit different than any workout sort of situation I've ever been in. But from your kind of perspective and your words, what has it been like, you know, just working with this strength conditioning staff for a year now?
Yeah, I mean, from Luke Day to Sid to Chip Morton, like everything, bro. Like they work from literally your pinky toe all the way up to your brain, bro. Like it's they want every part of you to be successful on the field, like cause like when you think about it, you have to use your entire body, and then on top of that, they use different guys have different specific workouts with them. So like a D lineman isn't gonna do with the same thing what a running back is doing. So like it's a lot, man. Like it's a lot to get through. But huge shout out to those guys, man, because like without them, Gamecock football wouldn't be running like how we're running right now. Truthfully.
What how was Grit Night this year? I know every year that's like the finale.
You gotta keep that on the wraps, man. Grit Night was special though. Grit Night was special. Keep it on the wraps though. Like you gotta keep that on the low down. Yeah, Grit Night was special though. That's a team thing, Wes. That's a team thing.
Okay, man. I respect that. But I mean, yeah. All right, we'll leave it at that. So, Oscar, final couple of things here, man. We're recording this on Sunday, so both of us are trying to get back to watch this women's basketball game. And so,
shout out to them. Let's go.
What has it meant to just suit up for the Gamecocks? And now you got, I mean, I know y'all got the countdown till Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Virginia Tech. What has it meant? And then how much are we already looking forward to running out there and having that final year, you know, in the garnet and black?
Man, it means a lot, man. And on top of all that, it's a blessing, man. Because when I first got here, I was really just starstruck of like seeing Coach Beamer, you know what I'm saying, firsthand. Like it was pretty dope. And then going out there and seeing Willie B. I know first game we're not gonna start at Willie B like we did last year. We started in Mercedes-Benz Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But man, like I at my old spot, I wouldn't have an opportunity to do this. So like it's just a blessing to come out here and do that for the Gamecocks. And on top of that, like just to have Gamecock across my chest, across my head, that's dope on top of that because, like, as you can see, we're trending, man. Not just the Gamecock football team, but the University of South Carolina through and through. Like, we're trending, man. We're, like, you going up and down Twitter, you're going to see something Gamecock related. You know what I'm saying? Under Armour, you're going to see it. You know what I mean? Like, it's there, you know? So, like, Eli Ellis pulling up. Shout out Eli Ellis, bro. Like, we're trending. The University of South Carolina is trending, man. So it's a blessing, like, to be on this trending spot, being a trending topic, yeah.
Like I said, Gamecock women, they just started. So by the time, if you're listening to this, by the time you're hearing this, they will maybe be in the Final Four. Shout out. Hopefully they beat Duke as Oscar and I are recording this. So
yeah, let's go get it, man. Let's go get it.
Oscar, what has it been like to just kind of witness the greatness of Dawn Staley and that women's basketball program, man? Like, I feel like they are second to none.
Wes, okay, I'm gonna answer this one quickly. It's dope, bro, because, like, my mom is a Dawn Staley fan. Before I even put my name in the portal, she was a Dawn Staley fan. And so for Christmas this year, I was like, hey, Coach, can you get Coach Staley, to come over here to, like, sign a ball for me so I can give it to my mom for Christmas, right? So before Christmas break, she came over, signed me a ball, took me a picture, gave it to my mom. My mom was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you so much!" Like, she done got it framed and everything. Like, it's dope, man. Like, seeing her and what she's doing, it's not gonna be, it's seen every once in a while. You know what I'm saying? Like, UConn, they do their thing, right? Tennessee, they had their thing at a time, but now it's University of South Carolina time. And Miss Staley, Dawn Staley, she's doing her thing with it. Like, Malaysia, Joyce, all of them, like, they're handling business. You know what I'm saying? For those girls in the Gamecocks.
For sure, man. Well, Oscar, like I said off top, man, we appreciate you taking the time. Wish you all the luck in the world the rest of spring and then going into fall, man. Let's go watch this game. Let's see what happens, and let's do this again sometime, okay, man?
Appreciate it, for sure. You know that.
If you are looking for a reliable local roofing company to help your home or business with your roofing needs, check out our friends at Classic Roofing. Joe Reeder, Max Sawyer, our guys, friends of the program here. They can help you take good care of your roof. That can be challenging, but you don't have to do it alone. They have years of expertise under their hats. They're a local company. Again, their families live right here in the Midlands. And the guys at Classic Roofing are GAF certified roofers. Only about 7% of roofers nationwide even have that certification. They can do inspections, installations, replacements, and repairs on your roof. You can visualize your new roof and what it would look like at classicroofingsc.com. You can check out their reviews and get a free estimate there. classicroofingsc.com, or give them a call, 803-590-7870. That's the reliable roofers over at Classic Roofing.
All right, guys, welcome back in another episode of the Gamecock Club Hour. It is brought to you by our friends at Krantz Cooling and Heating. As always, we're being joined by a special guest from the South Carolina football program, and today we got linebacker Fred J.R. Johnson. Fred, man, we appreciate you making the time. I know spring ball's got a lot going on with you guys, so we appreciate you making the time. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Like I said, we appreciate you making this work. And let's start with spring ball. I know y'all have gotten rolling there. Y'all are about 2 weeks in as we record this here on a Sunday, 4 or 5 practices in, I should say. And I know this is a big spring ball for you just with all the seniors that left from that linebacking room, man. So in your own words, can you give us kind of a little bit of an update on how things have been going this spring?
For me personally, it's been going good. Still been learning to get to know teammates, trying to lead others, and just continue to grind.
For sure. So, man, how I guess important do you think your freshman year was for you to kind of get you acclimated a little bit for this season? You know, just playing behind D Knight, being in the room with Debo Williams, Bam Martin Scott. I mean, those are the veteran guys that played a bunch on this defense last year. Now you're looking up, you're saying there's a lot of playing time to be had for me. I know you've been running with the ones a lot this spring. So how do you think just kind of having that year to get settled in is going to help you as you step into a bigger role this year?
I think it helped me a lot, just being able to learn behind them and just not being rushed on the field, so I could learn plays and learning concepts and stuff. So being that I have a bigger role this year, that helped me a lot.
When you look at kind of those guys that came before you, is there anything in particular you will take from them in terms of just, I don't know if it's preparation or modeling your game or just any one specific thing? What do you feel like you learned maybe from some of those guys watching how they just handle themselves?
The main thing, I would say the preparation, especially with D Knight, the way he prepared was like an NFL player. So I would take, that's the biggest thing, preparation.
I know he's obviously a big physical, athletic guy. I've heard people compare you athletically and physically to him. What do you think when you hear people compare you to a guy like D Knight?
What do I think? I would say similar speed, strength, instincts. Yeah, those things would probably be why they would compare us.
Yeah, and obviously I think that's a pretty big compliment being compared to a guy like that. Let's go back to a little bit of your high school ball, man, and your decision to attend South Carolina. First of all, for those who don't know, weren't you kind of like a wide receiver at one point in high school? Weren't you kind of playing all over, and then you've grown into a linebacker, I guess? Can you take us through your kind of positions over the years and how you became a linebacker?
Yeah, so, I mean, my whole life with football, I've been an offensive guy. So going into high school, obviously I wanted to be on offense. So receiver, I was a receiver, and then towards my senior year, we started using like a tight end set. So I was kind of like the biggest receiver, so I would play receiver and tight end. But then like in the summer going into my senior year, I just kind of got really big and really fast. So it's like, okay, we can go to linebacker, and then it kind of just shot up from there.
I know you put up some really good numbers at South Carolina's camp when you were there as a high school recruit. And if I remember correctly, that's kind of what spurred South Carolina into prioritizing you and recruiting you and being like, hey, we want this guy. What do you kind of remember just about getting the South Carolina offer and kind of realizing, all right, Clayton White and these guys like really want me to be a part of this thing?
Yeah, I came to the camp. And I did a 40. I did some drills. And Coach Beamer talked to me after. He was like, "We're going to offer you." And I don't know, it kind of happened all quick. But I was for sure excited, though. Yeah.
When you look back on that decision, were there maybe a couple of primary factors that led you to wanting to be a Gamecock when you kind of broke it down a little bit?
Yeah, I would say the conference for sure, the SEC, best of the best, and the way I bonded with the coaches, like off the rip, like it was like I've been knew them for a long time, and yeah, that's what did it for me.
What can you tell us about being around a guy like Clayton White on a day-to-day basis? Great coach, but also just seems to be a fantastic, genuine person. What is it like playing in his defense, but also being in that linebacker room with him?
Being in the linebacker room is fun. It's a lot of jokes. Man, we obviously watch film and go over stuff and all that, but he's a real funny guy.
He told us right before spring when we had an interview with him, he said, look, we got a much younger linebacking group, but the guys last year set the standard. And he said his message to you guys was like, look, you know what the standard is now, and we still have to go meet it, even if we're not as experienced. So what did you kind of take away from the player's perspective? Like, and from your eyes, what did you take away from his message to you guys for this spring?
I feel what he's saying. Like we had a good year last year. We can't just keep going off of like what we did last year. Just got to raise the bar even higher.
So, man, a lot of the guys we've talked to on the show have talked about the experience with Luke Day and the strength staff and how important that's been for their athletic and physical development. What can you tell us about the strength program and kind of how unique it is with Luke Day's program and what it's maybe meant to you as you've gotten bigger and faster?
Yeah, his program is very unique. When we do workouts, he'll kind of give like a rundown of what we're gonna do and like what it does for you, and it's just like I just shake my head to a lot of it because it's like I never knew about this, like I never knew about this certain body part and all that. What it's done for me, it just made me better overall. I could tell we do like before and after pictures, and I could just look at mine and tell like, yeah, my body has changed tremendously. I've gotten faster, obviously stronger. It just helped me a lot.
For sure, man. Is there a playing weight that is kind of your goal that you want to be at? Like, are you about where are you at right now? Is that about where you want to be? Or I know it kind of fluctuates for some guys, but where are you at right now?
Yeah, right now I'm about 242-ish. Yeah, I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. I'm at a good weight.
How do you feel like you've been moving around out there this spring? I know Coach White also told us, he's like, man, at the end of the day, I want my guys to be able to play fast and not just be processing or thinking in the middle of a play. Like, go out there, make plays at full speed. Going into year 2 now, how do you feel like that process is going for you, just getting out there this spring?
Yeah, I've been able to process plays way faster now because I remember coming in last year, I was all over the place. But now it's been way easier. It's been fun. So, yeah, I've been moving fast.
Fred, what can you tell us about the rest of the linebacking room right now? I know a couple of transfers are in. I know Darren Willis looks like he's going to get his shot to maybe step in and play a lot more too. Another big athletic guy, maybe a lot of fans don't know as much about, but what have you just seen overall from the talent and athleticism in this room?
I've seen, like you said, a lot of athletic guys. In the linebacker room, it's a lot of people who have, I would say, a lot to prove to people because it's like not that many people have played in games and done things, but people like you said, Willis, Sean Murphy, J.O., there's so many people, Rich, like, yeah, it's just a lot of people with a lot to prove to the people, fans, teammates, a lot.
No doubt, man. Is there a particular focus for you personally this spring? Like, other than just, most guys would say development, I want to get better. But I mean, maybe a little more specific. Whether it's like using your hands or technique, diagnosing plays, what have you and Coach White maybe identified for you personally that you want to focus on this spring?
For me, I would say tackling and defeating blocks would be my main thing.
Okay. I got you. All right, we're hanging out here with Fred Johnson. We got to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Gamecock Club Hour, presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating, here on The Game. All right, everybody, welcome back in. Final segment here with Fred J.R. Johnson, South Carolina linebacker. This is the Gamecock Club, and I want to go a little bit off the field here, Fred, starting with your name. I see you listed sometimes Fred Johnson, sometimes J.R. Johnson, sometimes Fred J.R. Johnson. Where did the J.R. come from, and which one do you prefer?
Okay, so the JR came from, because I'm a junior, like my dad has the same name as me. So it's kind of just spelled that way. It could be JR or it could be JAYR. It don't really matter. But yeah, I'm a junior. And which one do I prefer? It really doesn't matter, honestly. Like, family members might call me JR and people at the school might call me Fred. Like, it really doesn't bother me at all, honestly.
So it truly doesn't, like, some guys get a little type of way about it. Really doesn't bother you one way or the other.
Nah, it truly doesn't bother me at all.
Okay, I got you. So, all right, Fred, if you're not playing football, if you're not working out, what are the hobbies? Like, what are the little things that are going to take up your time when you're kind of away from the game?
Basketball, probably shopping, just resting, or probably eating.
Good answers there. Let's start with basketball. I thought it was pretty cool as part of the strength and conditioning this year. You guys got to do y'all got to play basketball. Y'all got to do, was it dodgeball, wiffle ball? Y'all had all these other events that you were doing. How was that to be able to compete against your teammates, but in like a fun environment for other sports during the off season?
Yeah, it was fun for sure. It takes your mind off of football and lifting weights and all that. It was fun though, for sure.
How did your basketball team do?
Terrible. And my team did terrible.
Bad subject?
Yes, really bad.
I didn't know. I thought you were going to be like, man, I dropped 25 points and took over, but it wasn't a good day for y'all.
I did what I could, but my teammates weren't the best, so
Okay. All right, we'll leave it at that, man. We'll leave it at that. You mentioned food. We always ask the guys, what's on the plate for like that last meal? You know what I'm saying? Like if you could have anything in the world on a plate right now, what are you putting on there?
Probably some seafood, honestly. For my last meal, I would probably have seafood.
We talking shrimp, flounder?
Yeah, probably shrimp, some crab legs, all that.
Okay, cool. All right, man. Big picture, what has it kind of been like? Like, what has it meant to have this experience so far and suit up in the garnet and black and run out the tunnel with all the 80,000 fans? Like, just in general, what has this experience been like for you so far?
It's been great. I might look like on Instagram, I might see other teams, or on Twitter, I might see other teams, and I just think to myself, like, it's not the same as South Carolina. Like, it really isn't. Like, the games and the fans and the atmosphere is just, it doesn't seem the same to me.
Have you had the opportunity to do some of those autograph sessions with your teammates, like at other sporting events so far with the Gamecock Club stuff?
Yeah, I have.
How has that been to, for one, just like the NIL resources you have at South Carolina, but then the different events, being able to maybe go meet a young fan, actually speak to them face to face, sign some autographs. Can you speak to that a little bit for us?
Oh, yeah, it's been good doing that. People say all the time they can't wait for football. They wish it was football season right now. Some people might recognize me. Just, I don't know, it's good for us. It's good for them. It means a lot.
No doubt. And final thing here, man, any particular goals for this season as you, hopefully move into that starting lineup? I know that's a goal for everybody, but have you set like particular on the field goals for this year other than just go play and play well? Or how do you kind of approach this season that you have coming up?
Not really any specific goals.
Obviously, like just want to develop and be a starter. Just do everything the right way.
For sure. All right, y'all. That is Fred J.R. Johnson. Fred, man, like I said, we appreciate you taking the time today. Good to get to know you a little bit. Let the fans get to know you a little bit. We'll let you get out of here, but good luck the rest of the spring. Good luck this season, and hopefully we can do this again sometime. Okay, man?
Appreciate you for having me.
Yep. All right. He is Fred. I'm Wes. You've been listening to the Gamecock Club Hour. The Game. We'll be right back.
Again, that is Wes Mitchell's conversation with Fred J.R. Johnson, and a little bit earlier on the hour, Oscar Attaway from Gamecock football. Of course, everybody was just out on the practice field, or the football team's still practicing right now. Wes and Chris are out there observing everything. And we'll come in here in just a couple minutes and tell us what they saw in a little bit of an extended practice session in terms of what media was able to see, according to Jack, a little bit earlier on. So we'll get some good insight into what's gone on so far. As I've kind of quickly been moving through spring ball. We are 2.5 weeks away from the spring game to wrap up the spring season. And again, I don't know if we've gotten any concrete answers on anything yet. There's still a lot of speculation and a lot of wondering what it's going to be, and I think that's going to remain the same. Even through the spring game and whatever we do get to see there. And again, you're going to have to be in attendance for that one. Spring game not going to be shown on TV. So if you want to get eyes on the 2025 Gamecock team before things kick off this fall, you actually have to go to Williams-Brice Stadium on April the 18th at 7:30 and see it in person, because you won't have the ability to watch it live or go back and watch it on a replay on ESPN.com or whatever, as, again, still just trying to figure out what the team's going to be and, hold out a lot of optimism that what happened last year will transfer over. This is, as I've said many times, is where you put your faith in the coaches, that, from a coaching and development standpoint, they're going to get this new group of guys to the level they need to be at to be just as good, if not hopefully better, than what last year's team was, as you look to build on what was a very, very strong season in your number 4 for Coach Beamer, and looking to make that even better and establish yourself as a contender as the 2025 season gets closer and closer. As a wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Club Hour, presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating, have another couple of pair of tickets to Tartan Day South this weekend out at historic Columbia Speedway. Text in now at 803-404-6100 for your chance to win. Just give me your name and tell me you want the tickets, and I'll let you know if you have won the tickets or not. Again, 803-404-6100 on the Firehouse Subs text line. Coming up next is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. What did Wes and Chris observe at a practice earlier on today? We'll get those answers coming up next here on The Game.
Our friends over at Integrated Media can make any of your audio-visual dreams come true at your home. You don't have to use the big box stores. So if you are looking to put a new TV in your home, if you're looking to improve your internet signal, if you're moving, if you're building a new home and you need to have your AV taken care of, you don't have to use those big box stores. You don't have to look at the thousands of different options online. Just give Michael, Nathan, the team at Integrated Media a call, 803-948-8327. They can come out to your home just like they did for me, just like they did for Wes. They can help you out with everything from sourcing the equipment, letting you know what's the best, to professionally installing it for you. If you got dead spots in your home, if you want to extend your Wi-Fi signal outside, you want to build that new man cave or trick out your patio, they can do it for you. 803-948-8327 or visit their website, integratedmediainc.com.
11 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Welcome in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler, Wes, and Chris along with you. Another morning for Wes and Chris to get out there and observe South Carolina spring practices. We're roughly halfway through. Still got about another 2.5 weeks until we get to the spring game to wrap things up. Now, Jack did say in the 9 o'clock hour, you guys are going to get an extended viewing window, which means we got all the answers, right? We've learned everything we need to know about this team, correct?
If you say so, we'll just roll with you, Tyler.
Well, you guys have the answers, not me. You're not sounding too encouraged about that.
It's still early. But yeah, out there, look, I was glad we were able to watch, and that I thought it was about to rain, so that did hold off for us, which was good. And I would say typical start to practice, lots of special teams drills. Lots of kind of, against air, you would say, technique work, quarterbacks throwing to receivers, drill work, and kind of your typical type stuff. But, most importantly, we found out about the 2 new injuries on Tuesday, but I didn't notice anybody really missing or anybody new in blue other than what we already knew. So that is at least one positive from today.
Yeah, Nick Sharp not out there, Jaylen Brown not out there, which we knew. Shane Beamer had mentioned those and communicated those. But, yeah, didn't see any other blue jerseys.
And Vakari Swain's still not
out there. Of course, that's not injury-related. That's why I didn't mention it. But academic-related. But he's not out there participating. But, yeah, no other blue jerseys that we saw, which is always good. That's one of your primary goals of spring. I mean, you want to get through the thing healthy. But it's football. People get banged up. That's what happened with Jaylen Brown. That's what happened with Nick Sharp. They got banged up playing football, which happens. But anytime you go out there and you see, garnet, white jerseys, green jerseys for the quarterbacks, that's what you want to see.
Luke Doty in a green jersey again today. Still in a green jersey.
I don't get the feeling that's changing.
No. That's the move there, I think.
So
that's the plan.
Kind of the same thing we've seen past couple weeks. How many more windows do you guys get in spring ball? Got 2 weeks left.
One more.
Yeah,
I think we get one more practice next week. It's kind of like a little bit of a one-a-week kind of schedule, so we'll get one more next week, and then the other one will be the spring game, of course.
One thing that you guys noted on, Wes put this on the Insiders Forum, is Boaz Stanley and Lenore Sells working together. A lot of guys obviously snapping to quarterbacks, but Boaz, of course, kind of the leader in that room in terms of likely to be the starting center this upcoming fall. That's actually something that Lenore Sellers talked about briefly yesterday when talking to the media about kind of developing that new relationship and rapport with a new center now that Rashawn Lee's moved on.
Pretty much in January, just getting like extra snaps, talking to him, getting to know him, getting to meet him, stuff like that. And then just practice, just asking him what he sees when he's micing certain people, stuff like that. So.
First of all, I think allergies were getting to Lenore Sellers sound a little bit rough yesterday, but that is an underrated aspect of so much turnover on this team. And yes, you got Lenore Sellers back, which is the most important thing at quarterback, but having a new center, that's a new relationship you have to form. The communication, being on the same page about literally everything, so there's not any issue in communication. When games get rolling here in a couple months, that's something that does take a little bit of time. And again, sounds like they're working together well so far. But that is always important to have that good quarterback center relationship for a good football team.
Yeah, you got to obviously. You had a veteran guy in Rashawn Lee last year, and Tyler's favorite player. And I think for Carolina, that's a spot where, we had heard, hey, a lot of different guys are working at center. Even, even Nick Sharp told me before camp started, hey, I've taken some reps at center sort of in the lead in. And so it's a spot where I think, especially when you lose your starter, Brubaker, who was the backup last year, is hurt right now, missing the spring. And so you're going to rep a lot of options there. Marquis Anderson is repping there too. RJ Newsome repping there. And so you need options. But certainly, it was almost instantly once we started getting into winter workouts long enough for some information or some buzz to start sort of leaking out. Boaz Stanley was being talked about, and the thought process there was just that, hey, this guy, and Carolina was high on him, or they wouldn't have taken him. But the thought was, hey, this guy might be maybe a little bit better athlete than initially thought. Just kind of one of those easy movers and someone that is going to fit in, I think, just fine in the SEC. That's always a little bit of a question when a guy makes the jump, but has made a pretty easy transition, I think, all things considered, and is a mature guy. I would say veteran just in terms of being an older guy, a little bit more established in his personal life, like we've seen South Carolina target in the transfer portal. And, I mean, probably is one of your quiet storylines of the spring, just kind of how quickly he has seemingly put himself in a position. You can't lock down a spot yet, but at least in a position to potentially lock it down.
How many snaps, Wes? I'm putting you on the spot because I can't remember. R.J. Newsome snaps at the college level at center. Do we know?
I can get you that answer
None?
in just a second.
Or do we know? Okay.
He played mostly guard.
Mostly guard. Nick Sharp, guard at Wake Forest. You look at Marquis Anderson. First of all, not a lot of game experience. Been here since 2023. Has missed some practice time. He's a guy that this is not the first offseason he's gone through working on snapping the football. He's done it before. My point is, if you look at games, right, when you have a void at center, which is, it's the only player other than the quarterback that touches the ball every single snap. It's a critical position. They're all very important, right? But that one, the communication, touching the ball every play, trying to snap the ball, and then you've got some giant across from you trying to, get the quarterback or stop the run. There's a lot going on there. Boaz Stanley's somebody that has played the position at different levels, whether it's high school, JUCO ball. When he went to Troy, obviously he started last season out at right tackle and played most of the games in the first half of the season at right tackle, but then moved to center, and that's where he really thrived. Turned in his best, if you're a believer in PFF grades or if you just use him as a reference, kind of like we do, he really kind of came on last season. And from what we've heard in the smaller sample sizes that we've had from practice, you can really see why they like him. He can move well. That's really important at center. You don't think about a center as just who's the biggest guy out there. You need a mover in the middle. You need a sharp guy. You need a communicator. And I think from what we've seen out of Boaz and what we've heard, he's a good communicator. Like, he's vocal. He's got maturity. And so you like all those things in him.
So the Gamecock website only listed as a few snaps at center. We don't have an exact number for R.J. Newsome when he was at Western Kentucky.
It says a few?
Yeah, it says played 580 snaps, most of which came at the right guard spot. Yeah. PFF doesn't split your snaps on the offensive line between positions. It just says offensive line or defensive line. So only a handful of snaps, I assume.
You got to go to the weekly grades.
Okay, weekly.
You can find them there.
Right.
But the point is, overall,
you must go deeper, Tyler.
deep PFF dive.
The 3 seconds of research I just did on that.
We spend too much time on.
Oh, I'm looking
PFF.
at R.J. Newton from
Holy Cross. That's Holy Cross.
It also throws you off because you go to the Western Kentucky page and you're looking for R.J., but he's Rodney.
Yep.
You keep forgetting that.
Point is,
let's just all go to dead air while we search on PFF.
Let's all Google at the same time.
The weekly grades only show one position.
Guys, all you have to hit is detailed positions in the snap by positions.
Yep.
And it will break it up for you to the exact spot. It'll literally tell you what blade of grass they were playing on.
Okay, he has taken 6 snaps at center then. 6 snaps at center. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
How'd you figure that out?
I hit detailed positions. Thank you, Wes. That is the first time I've had to use that feature on PFF.
6
snaps at center, all of which came in one game.
Yeah. So Boaz, you look at him as not only the movement, the maturity, but you got to consider, what's one reason that Vershawn Lee won the center job? Yes, he checked all the boxes, but also a very experienced player last year. Like, at center, it's a tough thing to go into a season going, we're playing this guy at center. He hadn't really played much football. That's not something that you really want to hear. That makes you a little bit more nervous with just how important that position is. So now you've got a guy who's like you said, Wes, an easy mover. He's played a lot of ball. He's played a good bit of actual center, and he checks a lot of those boxes for you. So he's definitely made a move and kind of, not that competition is over per se. You got a long time until you kick it off against Virginia Tech, but he is, all indications are, in pole position there.
Of course, a lot of the focus around the Lenora Settlers this offseason, as we've heard from Mike Shula and Shane Beamer in the past week or so, is that development at quarterback. And, again, not preventing him from running, but, just taking the opportunity to sit back in the pocket a little bit more, let things develop downfield, go through the reads, all those kind of things. And Lenora Settlers talked about that a little bit yesterday as well, of increasing that patience that he has in the pocket.
I mean, it really just comes down to, trusting the people around me, trusting in protection, just being patient, more patient in protection, not just looking to run, trusting the receivers, they'll get open, throwing anticipation and stuff like that, and timing, footwork, all that.
And again, that athleticism is obviously great to have, and got South Carolina out of a lot of sticky situations last year and helped them win games like against Clemson as well. But it's more along the lines of running when you want to, not when you have to. And there are parts of that where, again, he mentions, the offensive line being better. Obviously, guys around him blocking a little bit more to where he's not having to evade tacklers in the backfield and have to make these kind of plays. But it's just all around making him a better quarterback, which is, again, the goal for Beamer, Shula, and the entire staff.
Yeah, and I do think it's interesting, though, among many great plays that Lenore's made last year, I think one of the ones that was singled out was that throw to Brady Hunt on third down against Missouri, where, they have Lenore's, by all intents and purposes, dead to rights in the backfield. He throws off an A&M defender for the 10th time that game, and then somehow gets his head back around and flips the ball out to Brady, and he gets a key first down when all the momentum was against South Carolina. And I believe it was Shula that pointed out a while back, hey, there's a read there where if he just gets the ball out quicker early on, he doesn't have to evade that tackle in the first place. And so I think that's a big part of what this conversation is about, is just going through your reads and putting yourself in a position to maybe not have to use the athleticism quite as much. I get what they're saying. At the same time, he's pretty good using the athleticism when he has to as well. A lot of his big plays last year were just based on, Dal Loggins even talked about this. Should we have a play where we just send everybody out and tell Norris essentially pretend like you're about to throw it and take off running? Some of his best plays are in that situation. So I've said it way too many times now, but it's going to be a conversation. It's going to be a conversation all year long, I think.
Well, and here's the good news. There will be opportunities for Lenoris to make those Superman plays because you're going to play really good defenses. You're going to play NFL draft picks every week. There's going to be some plays that break down, best laid plans. They're going to break down. He'll have some of those opportunities. But even Lenora Sellers, took sacks last year that you didn't need because not every time he had 300-pounders surrounding him. He didn't get out every time. He did sometimes,
sure,
which is great. You want to have that ability. You want to have him, you want to be able to line up and say, let's run quarterback power, because they did that at the end of the year. A&M, Clemson, they had success with that. But, I've said this before, too. I feel like we're approaching broken record. They're not saying we don't want Lenoris to run, we don't want him escaping, but can you avoid some of those plays so you don't have to have a Superman act every time?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you have a better passing game, a more robust passing game, which helps you open up the run, including the quarterback run? That's really what this is all about.
We have more players coming up next as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls along into Thursday here on the game.
All right, everyone, if you're hungry like I am, great lunch recommendation. You already know it. It's Firehouse Subs. 15 different locations all around the Midlands. And I'm worried for you if you haven't had the new limited time offering of the hook and ladder variations. They've partnered with Hot Ones, Firehouse Subs has, to get you 2 new twists on the classic hook and ladder. It's a limited time only. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't know when it's going away, but it will go away at some point. So make sure you go get it before it's gone. They have the zesty garlic hook and ladder with the garlic Fresno classic hot sauce. That's the least spicy, about a 2 or so. And if you want to kick it up to about a 10, and I can confirm that it is a 10, the spicy dill hook and ladder with the Last Stab Reaper hot sauce, and also the pickle plank that is marinated in that Last Stab Reaper hot sauce. FirehouseSubs.com, 15 Midlands locations, or download the Firehouse Subs app. Use the Rapid Rescue to go.
Welcome back in. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West Chris along with you here on your Thursday. Busy weekend ahead. Tomorrow, Schroeder's Towing Roadshow takes the early game and myself out to Darlington Raceway to get set for Throwback Weekend. Tomorrow night, women's basketball in action in the Final Four as they take on Texas, which you can listen to right here on the game. Pregame at 6:30 for a 7 o'clock tip. And Gamecock Baseball taking on Mississippi State on the road. Pregame coverage is 6:45 for a 7 p.m. first pitch on our sister station, 98.5 WOMG. Yesterday, we got to hear from a handful of players talking to the media as, again, spring practice rolls along. I want to flip over to the defensive side of the football now, hearing a little bit of what both Monkel Goodwine and Nick Barrett had to say. We'll start off with Monkel Goodwine. First of all, talking about his progress after spending a year here at South Carolina.
My first year here, I think, I looking at the guys that was ahead of me, just learning from them, TJ and Tunk and Bug and Jules, learning from them, I think that I could have did way better than how I performed, but I did what I can do. And I think since hopefully if I get the opportunity this year, then I can definitely step up and make a lot of plays.
When Goodwine came in here a year ago, it was hard to not be excited because, again, he came from Alabama. If Nick Saban thinks you're a good enough football player to be in his team, you must be pretty darn good. And on the other side of things, when you look at who he was behind, again, 4 NFL caliber talents that are going to be getting their names called here. A lot of them is going to be getting their names called here in a couple weeks' time. It's understandable why he didn't see as much action as maybe some people thought he was going to. But now, again, it's wide open. Here's your opportunity to jump up and be one of those main guys in this room. And, again, from a physical standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, he certainly seems to have those tools. Now, can he step up and perform when his number's getting called?
Yeah, and I think when we talked about Goodwine being added to the team, we sort of thought, hey, this might be a good resourceful pickup because he's probably not going to, unless he just takes a big jump. He played, 13 defensive snaps at Alabama, played 159, which is actually a little bit more than it felt like last year for South Carolina. But you looked at who he was coming in behind, and I think we knew it was probably going to be tough for him to step right in there and play and be a huge contributor. But if you're kind of a guy who pays attention to roster building like we do, you were going, this may be an important pickup for 2025. And that's the exact spot you sit in right now, knowing that, hey, you lost all those guys. That's been a message to the team from Shane Beamer. You lost, the entire two deep is gone at defensive tackle. So who is ready to step up? Who is going to sort of take that jump? I think certainly when you look at seniority, even as a guy who's only going into his second year here, Goodwine, and then, of course, Nick Barrett, who has been here for a long time, those are the two guys that are first man up at that spot. And so I think the question is, are you going to get sort of basically like what you would call in MLB terms like replacement level player, like just kind of average level player, performance out of those guys? I think they can certainly give you that. But the question is, can they step up and then give you, a good bit more than that?
Well, and they were able to redshirt Barrett last year, which was actually a very good thing when you consider what they lost. And good for him that he was willing to accept that role, of, hey, this is what my team needs. But when you kind of look, the last season, 2023 might be a little bit of a better reference because, again, last year he redshirted. The snaps are kind of off. Barrett has traditionally been kind of a, 15 to 20 snap type of guy. I think it stands to reason you probably need more than that from him this year. That doesn't mean he's going to be a 50, 60 snap guy, but can you get more? And I think that's kind of the theme of that defensive tackle room. It's a good thing Carolina doesn't play Virginia Tech tomorrow. This is a room where, is there work to be done? Yes. Is it maybe the biggest question on the team? Yeah, probably. That would be my argument. But you have some guys back who've played some ball, Barrett and Goodwine. Do you need them to make that next step? Yes, you do. Would it be great if Xavion Hardy, who's kind of an X factor for you, if he progresses? He's got not just weeks, he's got months to do it. Can he do that? Devontae Miles, who's been kind of a pleasant surprise. You've also got the transfer portal this month. We very much anticipate South Carolina is going to at least try to dip into the portal for some additional help here. Can that change the equation? So do you have questions? Yes, but this is a room I think you can better situate. But there's a lot of things that are kind of you're going, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. There's kind of a checklist for that to happen.
Were you guys aware of Nick Barrett's nickname within the defensive line room?
I don't think I am.
Well, is it Grandpa?
I'll let him tell you about it.
Pretty much as a leader,
setting an example. I've been here the longest. I know the defense like the back of my hand. So really just coaching guys up, leading the way, setting an example, and trying to be a voice and just do everything right so they know what the standard is here at South Carolina.
Okay, that question was in reference to him being called the general of the defense. I thought he mentioned it specifically, but you guys said he's been around here for a long time. Again, the elder statesman in this room, and last year did kind of take a step back because there was so much talent ahead of him in the room, but it's going to be looked to be, again, a guy that's going to take more responsibility this year, obviously being a leader, just being around as long as he has, and, like I said, we'll see if he can step up to the task.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for him, and, I remember tracking it last year. You didn't know if they were actually going to be able to redshirt him or not. And then I think when DeAndre Jules went down and missed a lot of time, you were really going, is this going to be possible? And then there were guys who were in and out and banged up within the sort of context of specific games. Maybe they didn't miss a ton of time, but just were kind of in and out. And you were just kind of wondering. But that was a good job, I think, of roster management there. And I don't know the depth of the conversations there, but I got to imagine the conversation was, look, you are, let's just have a real conversation. You are behind these guys right now. You are behind, at least 4 guys at this time, but it really opens up next year. And, I think there's a difference in maybe the coaches having that conversation with you versus, the situation with, Kamara, where, basically the player's going, I'm redshirting, allegedly. So I think for that, you can certainly see what the thought process was here. And now he's sitting there going through spring ball with the ones and has a chance to step up. Now, I think you certainly, if you're South Carolina, you hope that Xavion Hardy is going to push both these guys. You hope that your 2 transfer portal additions, whether it's Brownlow Dindy, or Devontae Miles, that they're going to push these 2 guys. And then, like Chris said, you're actually hoping you can maybe add a defensive tackle or 2 this coming portal window. Frankly, I don't think you want to count on that. Like, you don't want to count on that to be your starter. But at the same time, if you can find the right guy and you can make it work, that would obviously be huge for this defense.
We'll jump over to basketball coming up next as we have another addition from the transfer portal to Lamont Paris' crew for this next upcoming season. But real quick, of course, the show is sponsored by our friends over at Firehouse Subs. Nameless texter just hit us on the text line and said just had the spicy pickle hook and ladder yesterday. Was delicious. He could handle the heat, but he still said it was very, very delicious. So advertising works, people.
It does.
We hear the commercial of you guys talking about the spicy hook and ladder all day long, and if you have not tried it yet, check it out.
So he said it was spicy.
It was spicy, but he could handle it.
Okay.
So
there's some impressive people out there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tyler's one of them.
I know.
Tyler looked you right in the eye as he.
It's like he was taunting me.
Hammered that thing.
You made me nervous because you're building it up to be like,
I know, you were very.
I'm not gonna be able to speak after I eat this thing. But when it was very hot.
Yeah, but when you ate it, you weren't like, oh, they overplayed that. Like,
yeah,
it was
I was
hot.
like, no, this isn't nothing. Like I felt it. It was very spicy, but
I would rather
I could handle myself.
Yeah, I would rather like over prepare you than under prepare.
My wife, who has a higher spice tolerance than me, she loved it too. We tried it the following weekend.
Did she think it was hot?
She thought it was hot.
Okay,
but she wasn't like, oh my god, my mouth is, I can't feel my mouth.
You
thing.
told me she finished it.
She finished it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
The pickle too. The plank.
So she doesn't eat pickles by themselves, but I mean the pickle on the sandwich itself, she did finish.
Walk the plank.
Yeah. But, spicy dill hook and ladder. Go check it out if you haven't already.
Please do.
All right, we'll jump over to basketball coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game. Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West Chris along with you here on your Thursday on the game. Of course, we're getting set to wrap up the college basketball season this weekend with both the men's and women's Final Four. We'll have plenty to talk about tomorrow for the women, and we'll hear from Dawn Staley later on today in reference to what she says previewing tomorrow's matchup with Texas and hopefully another shot at a national championship coming up on Sunday. But Lamont Paris has been very active in the transfer portal all week long, and yesterday we got another addition to this team for next season with Kobe Knox transferring in from South Florida, 6'5", 195 guard who played a couple seasons there, had previously been at Grand Canyon before that, and again, another shooter to add to the list of guys coming in from the portal in West. You got the opportunity to chat with him a little bit about him coming to South Carolina and how exactly all this came together.
Yeah, he was a guy that we mentioned, I guess, probably last week that he was going to visit this upcoming week, and took place. Obviously, went very, very well, and you can kind of see what they're trying to do, just rebuilding, I would say, this roster. And, you know, I'll say this too, guys. I think we also have seen some reactions. We got to remember that other than a few key spots, they are rebuilding the entire sort of production for next year. So, yes, some guys are coming in to start. Some guys are coming in to be a sixth man or a seventh man. And, yeah, of course, if you're coming in, you're personally saying, I'm going to compete for a starting job. I'm not saying that these guys are not able to do that. But we just have to remember there's only be 5 guys on the floor. So I think when you're looking at some of these pickups, you got to say, all right, is this an upgrade if this is our next guy off the bench? Is this an upgrade? This is the 7th guy in the rotation. And, you know, I think they have to replace several aspects of the team from this past year. So, yeah, Kobe Knox will compete for playing time. It is kind of like, if you want to put it in a football context, we're talking about all the interior offensive linemen they're bringing in. You know, maybe they start or maybe they're just a key, valuable asset off the bench. Tell you what, this guy has bloodlines, though. If nothing else, for one, named after Kobe Bryant, his brother, Kevin, played at Kentucky. His other brother is at Arkansas, and his dad, Kevin, was a wide receiver at Florida State in 1993 when they won the national title. So, and was a 6th-round pick with the Buffalo Bills. So, I mean, the entire family is just loaded with some God-given athletic ability.
Well, and I think he's got some really interesting qualities, is probably the best word. I mean, he's got size. He's 6'5". He's not afraid to take the shot, right? Like, if you go back and look at some of his stuff, he'll take big shots. He's got range. He's played a lot of basketball, you know, which I think getting old, obviously getting more talented, getting deeper is a priority for this team. But I think we saw from the 2023 team that Lamont Paris had that, you know, broke some school records, made it back to the tournament, very experienced team. And so you're getting a guy here in Kobe Knox who's played a lot of basketball. And I think to go back to your question, Wes, of kind of looking at the portal and going, is this an upgrade or even a potential upgrade? I think you can make a good argument that it is. So it's about finding not all the pieces at South Carolina in the portal are going to be super flashy. I would say in this portal era, a lot of the pieces, even at big name schools, are not super flashy because they're coming from a lower level or they're coming from a G5 school or, you know, a bounce back type of situation, whatever it may be. I mean, go up and down the rosters. I mean, look at where some of their stars came from, you know?
Yep.
Clemson just landed a huge transfer, not from some huge school, but he had everybody in the country that wanted him. Trey Eaglestaff for South Carolina had a bunch of programs that are blue bloods that wanted him, you know? So I think it's just about finding the right types of pieces and the right fits as opposed to, okay, was this guy a former 5-star? You know, is he coming from Kansas or Kentucky? It's just about finding the right fits and pieces.
Well, and again, you know, in line with Eaglestaff, in line with Meechie Johnson, they've brought in a lot of, you know, production in terms of scoring, you know, three-point shooters. Guys can kind of play that 2 role, but I think we're all just patiently waiting to say, okay, what do you get in terms of a true point guard. And I know that Michi can play that role, but it's not something that he thrived in when the ball was in his hands running the offense. So ideally, we keep going back to it. A Talon Cooper type of guy. You can't find Talon Cooper again, but somebody in that kind of same vein that has had a ton of experience, that is kind of that pass-first kind of guy, would be an ideal pickup in the portal. Again, can't guarantee they're going to get that, but I know they got to be searching high and low for it.
Yeah, and so, by the way, they have also now announced on the official men's basketball Twitter that they have signed Kobe Knox officially, and they've been teasing everybody before they actually announce them, and they have posted the Michi tease. They have not posted the official signed graphic, but that will be on the way here shortly. So
was it still the waiver with that? I imagine that's what they're waiting on with him, right?
No, I think they're going to go ahead and they posted the tease. They've been doing them like about 20 minutes apart. They post the tease and they post the graphic. So I'd imagine the Michi graphic will be here probably within the next 20 minutes or so. I think they're going to go ahead and announce him as a signee. He either already has the waiver or they're very confident that he's going to get it. And so I think they're operating as if he is going to be on the team next year. But I do think, when you look at guys they're bringing in, you want competition. If the waiver is not official yet, you do want some, kind of an insurance policy there by bringing in another guy who's kind of that shooting guard type who can go score for you in Kobe Knox and has some size too. I think that's one thing that stands out to me about all these guys is they have pretty good size for their positions, and that was something I think at certain spots this past season South Carolina just severely lacked. I mean, you're having to one, and I love Jamari, but Jamari is a completely different style point guard than what Talon was, just even based on size alone. And then you look at having to play Jacoby at times at the one, which really isn't his primary position, but even when you were playing him at the two, obviously not a big guy for that spot. So you're bringing in more size, I think, in terms of guys who can match up and use that length out there on the perimeter.
Yeah, you look at the guys they've added, they've got length, and I think it was something they were missing at times last year. I think you had some guys also that were, maybe stepping into roles where they were in a different role the previous year, and you kind of had to go, all right, can they make that leap into a bigger role? And it didn't work as well. But I think there were a bunch of different pieces and a bunch of different decisions, a bunch of different aspects that just didn't make it work as well as you wanted. And so you kind of understand when you go back and kind of do an autopsy on it, I guess you could say, you can see why they took this approach of, hey, let's really change things up here. And with some of the decisions they've made in the portal, some of the types of guys they've targeted, it's pretty clear that, experience is important, length has been important, and shot making. These guys that we're talking about, they can make shots. They can shoot from three. They can get their shots one-on-one. Like you see some of those same qualities across these portal gets.
We'll see what they can continue to add as the transfer portal window is open in men's basketball. We'll come back and wrap up today's edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. What's Chance Miller doing down at Coastal Carolina? He has made some headlines this week. We'll dive into that coming up next. Is Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on The Game. Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler West and Chris along with you for a few more minutes here on your Thursday. Reminder, Gamecock Baseball back in action tomorrow against Mississippi State. Another chance for you to win the Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union Grand Slam giveaway. Gamecock batter hits a Grand Slam. You could win cash. The pot goes up by $25 every single game. Go to 175game.com and register if you've not already. The pot currently sitting at $375. As we wrap up the hour here, this is something we haven't got a chance to get to this week because there's been so much going on, particularly when it comes to Gamecock sports. But Chance Miller, of course, former deputy athletic director here at South Carolina, now on at Coastal Carolina, has made a lot of headlines this week for the free concessions that are going to be available at Coastal Carolina football games this upcoming fall. Anybody that buys a ticket will be able to select 4 items per concession stand visit from the menu of hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and fountain drinks. No limit on how many times you can visit the concession stand, but you have to do it through the app each and every time. And again, this is generating a lot of buzz all over the college football landscape. And you guys know Chance Miller very well from his time here. And this seems like a part of innovation that we saw a little bit of here at South Carolina, but really going on full display out there at Coastal.
Yeah, Chance, the AD there now, so has obviously the power to do this. And I think, as always, if you talk to people who, watch Chance work, he's always been an outside-the-box thinker, and he's always been willing to kind of come up with a crazy idea or two. And in this case, and I think it's certainly at Coastal, that's a place where you can kind of experiment with stuff like this a little bit. And so, I think probably has already made up the amount of money they're going to lose in concessions just by the amount of attention this gets. Like, if you believe in branding and the value of branding, I mean, this thing has gone completely national. If you saw the original tweet, the video, you got to see Chance make his acting debut on there as well. And, Chris, I think just is something that takes some guts to just say, hey, we're just going to do this. And I believe even if they lose literal money on not being able to sell hot dogs, which how much you selling hot dogs for anyway, just the fact that they're getting people to download the app, which comes along with 2 very distinct things, 2 very important things. When they download the app, they're going to sign up for the app.
Yep.
So now you have collected the data to be able to reconnect with them. So, and then the people who don't delete the app, technically somebody could delete the app after, but you already have their information. You are learning who your fan base is for a place that, as we joke all the time, how many people from other states, Ohio, are transplants to Myrtle Beach. A lot of those people may be going to a game for the first time. You're going to gather that information, and then on top of it, if they keep the app, you can send notifications, you can send deals and discounts and more information about what's going on. So, I think it's cool. Whenever you do something like this, there's a level of risk, but, how many hot dogs can one person eat anyway?
I feel like somebody's going to try and push the limit on this.
Yeah, unlimited visits.
Unlimited visits. Again, only 4 per visit, but again, you got only 3.5 hours for a football game, so you can push this. But again, I think most people are going to be reasonable about this. Hey, I'm going to go get free hot dog, popcorn, and all those kind of things. And like you said, you're getting people that may otherwise not be coming to these games saying, "What the heck? I'll go hang out at a football game and eat some free food."
Yeah, the in addition to the data collection, like, look at the exposure that you can't buy that they've gotten from this. Like, remember when the Falcons were like, we're going to charge like actual reasonable prices for concessions? People love that.
Yeah.
Because normally, what do you think about when you go to a sports game? Like, put yourself in the shoes of somebody from Ohio who has just moved, and maybe you're an Ohio State fan, or you like the Browns or the Bengals or whatever, and you're like, Coastal. Maybe you hear about a Coastal Carolina game. Should I go to this? You're like, well, it's hot. It's not an SEC game. And, the lines are probably long. The bathroom lines are probably long. And, if we're hungry, we'll probably have to spend like $80, Well, if you remove that friction, now you can get somebody in the door and build loyalty. My assumption is they're probably not going to always give concessions for free forever. Maybe they will. But I read there have been so many pieces about this. Joe Pompliano, who covers like the business of sports, a bunch of national reporters. Our guy Matt Brown at Extra Points interviewed Chance about this. And another point that Chance made was, will they lose some money? Yes. Now, they don't – Coastal, because of how they count things, there wasn't a line item of how much they made from concessions, so you can't just reverse that. But he pointed out, hey, we're going to find some ways to make this a quick process. We'll have less credit card fees because we're not charging for it. And then we'll probably be able to have less workers in there, to remove some of that friction. So maybe you lose, I think Matt estimated, maybe you lose 5 figures over the course of a year. But how much more do you gain, on the other side of it?
Yeah, and again, you're getting people in the door. And if they can go in there and have a great experience by having some free food and enjoying a football game, whether you win or lose, that brings people back. And whether, if you're an alumni, maybe you're already more inclined to go to the games anyway. But like you said, if you're a local that's transplanted from somewhere and looking for something to do on a fall Saturday, that's enough to get you in the door. And who knows, you could hook a fan for life and have, a lot of people that just want to come back and watch not only your football team, but your other teams as well, because you've given them the reason to come in and to care about it.
Well, I think people just appreciate the thought, too. Like, people, hey, you gave me some free food. I'm going to reward you by giving you a chance to maybe earn my business. And so I think that's a cool aspect of it. And I like that they put one stipulation on it, which was, you're limited to how many you can get per trip. And, hey, you got to get the app, which everybody has their phones loaded with, Lord knows how many apps now anyway. But they didn't put a limit on how many. Because I felt like, is this going to be one of those where then you oh, yeah, it is free, but 1 hot dog per person, 1 popcorn, serving per person, etc. They said, no, there's truly no catch on that aspect of it. If you want to keep, now you're going to miss half the game if you keep going back, but still, good for Chance, good for Coastal. Very cool idea, and it seems to be working.
Absolutely. We will see how that plays out for them when the fall does roll around. I'll do it for the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Coming up next, halftime show. Myself, Terry Ford here on the game.